Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I give you a little bit of a timeline of what to expect when you're having your products made overseas. Now, all of the products for my Amazon business are made in China, and I do know other sellers who have their products made in other places like India or Vietnam, but no matter where your products are being made, you are going to want to make sure that you check off a couple of steps before your products are sent to the Amazon fulfillment center. And if you guys don't know, when it comes to sending your products to Amazon, they are very picky about the way that they will accept your inventory. I have people ask me this question very often. Can you just drive your inventory to Amazon's fulfillment center if they're right down the street from you or if you have one in your town? The answer is no, and I'll explain why in this video. Stay tuned. So the very first thing that's going to happen is that you are going to reach out to the supplier with an initial message. Again, check out that video if you need some help on what you should be saying to these suppliers to get the best results from your initial messages to them. But you are going to request a sample from your supplier. A sample can take anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks to arrive because it is most likely coming all the way from China. And that sample will give you a very good indication of whether or not you want to work with that supplier to have your bigger order created, right? So you get these samples from a couple of different suppliers, you compare and contrast the quality, and that way you're able to pick the best quality for the best price, and that is the supplier that you're going to go with among some other criteria. So when you are talking to these suppliers and you're kind of getting a feel for how they operate and how they run their business, that's where you want to kind of search for little places that you can negotiate and places that you can get a little bit more bang for your buck. And in certain scenarios, when you reach out to these suppliers and you're negotiating with them for a lower price point, they're not going to be willing to come down drastically on the price. You might be able to get them to go down $1, maybe a couple of cents, 50 cents, 25 cents, but it's most likely that you're not going to get a drastic cut in how much you're paying them for your bigger inventory unless you're buying thousands or tens of thousands of units, and you're not doing that your first time around. So how else can you make sure that you are getting the best possible deal? Well, that's by creating a very, very strong initial impression with your supplier and being very intentional about the relationship that you are building with them. So always keeping it friendly, always keeping it professional, and always hinting to the fact that in the future, you will be working with them, you will be ordering more, and you'll be continuing to bring them business, aka spending your money with them, and that's going to make them a lot more likely to want to negotiate with you and want to make you happy as their customer. So once you have decided on a supplier that has great quality products and one that you are happy to continue moving forward with, most likely what they are going to ask for next is a deposit in order to start manufacturing your products. This deposit amount can range from anywhere between 30% all the way up to 100%, but I would say 30 to 50% is average, and honestly, I would not pay more than 50% upfront for your products because they're not even made yet. But it is fair for your supplier to ask for something so that they know that they're making products that you are actually going to follow through and purchase the full purchase amount of the product. So expect to pay that initial deposit. The initial deposit can be paid in a number of different ways. I already mentioned in some of my other videos that you always want to pay for your inventory with either Alibaba Trade Assurance or with PayPal. Both of these will ensure that you have a place to go in case for some reason you are scammed or the products aren't received or something comes up with your order. You have a way to get your money back. So that's the benefit of paying with one of those two options. There are a couple of things that you can work on while your suppliers are creating your product, and the amount of time that you have to work on these items really depends on how long your supplier's lead time is or their manufacturing time. Are they going to only need 3 days to make your product? Are they going to need 10 days? Are they going to need 14, 30, 60? It all really just depends on that specific supplier and how intricate your product is, or even the packaging. So if you have something that is very, very complex, something that they're going to have to add a lot of components to, it's possible that it could take longer for your products to be made. But as recommended in every video that I talk about your shipments, you should not be working with a supplier who has a lead time over 30 days. 30 days is the limit. Anything higher than that will make it very hard for you to plan for your next order. So if it's going to take them 60 days to make your product and you run out of inventory, then that is at minimum 60 days that you are going to be out of stock. And that is not a situation you want to put yourself in. So I recommend that you find a supplier with a lead time of 30 days or less. Now, while your products are being made, I'm sure that you're going to want updates. I'm sure you're going to be asking your supplier how things are going, but understand that sometimes there's nothing they can do to expedite the process. So don't beat it to death. Of course, you want to give them the time to actually do the work that you are paying them to do. So you can go ahead and reach out to them every couple of days or every week or whatever you're comfortable with, and just kind of check in with them, see how things are going, and they should be more than willing to give you updates on your inventory. In the meantime, you are going to have plenty of time to work on your listing. So making sure that you have done your keyword research, making sure that you have some photos being prepared, whether you have your supplier create those photos and take those photos for you, or if you're going to hire someone off of Fiverr to do your photos or Photoshop them, or you're going to DIY. You really have some time to kind of figure out what you want to do as far as product photography goes. And then on top of that, you want to make sure that you start to think of some people who can buy your product when it first launches so that they can start leaving you reviews. Now, these people who leave you reviews, you have to be very careful about this. Over the years, Amazon has gotten very, very, very strict about the way that they monitor product reviews. So in the past, Amazon was not very savvy to how people were manipulating the review system. They were giving products away for free in, exchange for a 5-star review, which is definitely not allowed in today's day and age on Amazon. So be very careful with that. If you are looking for those initial reviews to kind of give your listing a little bit of legitimacy, no one wants to buy from a listing with 0 reviews or a seller with 0 reviews, you're going to want to ask friends and family. Now, the trick here is that they cannot be connected to you in any obvious way. I know this sounds creepy, but Amazon will be able to know that you are connected to your mom, for example, if you live in the same house with her. So no one under the same roof, no one with your last name, no one you've shared Wi-Fi with, no one you're friends with on Facebook. Again, I know it sounds intense, but I know people who have been flagged for all of these, and you want to just make sure that Amazon can't really connect you to the person who is leaving you the review. Obviously, you can kind of think outside of the box with this one. You can have a friend of a friend, or a partner of a cousin, or co-workers, friend, whatever. You got what I'm saying. Someone with a little bit of a degree of separation from you to leave you that review. You don't ever want to have someone who is easily connected, because Amazon will, and they will definitely send you some kind of a warning. And if it's egregious enough, there could be worse consequences. So be careful with those reviews. But those are kind of the 3 things that you'd be working on: your photography, your keyword and listing, and then getting those reviews lined up for when you are ready to launch. Now, if you have done things the right way, you will have already had that conversation with your supplier about having an inspection done on your inventory. Having an inspection done is a very critical part of this entire process, because that is what will ensure the quality of your products. I've talked about this in other videos, but essentially an inspection company is a third-party company that will go to the factory where your products are being made, and they will double check on everything for you. So they can make sure that the labels are put on correctly. They can make sure that the products are of the quality that you've discussed with your supplier and all of that. Now, this inspection should be done when your supplier is almost done making all of your products, or maybe they are done with all of your products, but they haven't all been boxed up and packaged yet. So the reason that you want to get your inspector in at the right time is if you wait too long and all of your products have already been packaged, then the inspector is going to have them open up your boxes, and it just creates more work, and it can be annoying for the supplier. So you definitely want to be having that conversation and letting them know, hey, let me know when you guys are almost done with making the products, because I would like to have my inspector come in before you box up the goods. That way it minimizes the amount of work on all parties' ends. So they should be agreeable to that. And then your supplier will go in, check on everything. You'll have a report sent to you, and then that report will basically let you know if the inventory passed the inspection or failed, what defects were found, and all of that, so you can have that discussion with your supplier. Now, the reason that I said if you did it the right way, you would have already talked about this, is because if you spring it on your supplier, 1, they might not be prepared, and 2, you don't really have a course of action to take if your inspector finds that your inventory was not in good shape and that your supplier has failed the inspection. You want to have that conversation initially when you're getting along and things are great and it's friend this and dear that, everything is peaches and cream. You don't want to have that conversation once they have actually failed the inspection, because then tensions are high, they want to get paid, and they might not be as agreeable to your terms later on. So talk to them about that in some of those earlier conversations and let them know and say, hey, the way that my company works is that we do expect for you to pass an inspection in order to proceed with final payment. We would really like to talk through the terms of the inspection. I will pay for the initial inspection, and once again, we expect for you to pass. Should the inventory not pass the inspection, our expectation then would be that you would pay for the second inspection or any subsequent inspections. They might not go for it, but you have a much better chance of them agreeing to that in the earlier stages when they're still wanting you to agree to work with them. And get that in writing, have that put as part of the contract. That way, if it happens, hope it doesn't, but if it does, you already have discussed what is going to happen next, rather than waiting until it actually happens and then you're telling them, hey, I want you to pay for the next one, and they're saying, no, we're not going to do it. You know, it's a lot more of a tense and difficult conversation to have. So keep that in mind, and that's definitely a pro tip. So I hope you guys take that one and write it in your notepad. Now, some of the other things that you want to be aware of when you're having your products sent to Amazon is that during the time that your products are being made, you might want to start working on your shipment plan. The reason I didn't mention this before with what you can do in the meantime is that for your shipment plan, you're going to need details that will only be available to you from your supplier when they are done. So you're not going to have the details that you need for that shipment plan until the end of the process, because Amazon's shipment plan is going to ask you for many details about your inventory, how many boxes there are, how many units are coming, what are the dimensions of the boxes, what are the weights of the boxes. So once again, they're not going to know that until they're done boxing everything up. So once your supplier can provide you with that information, you can go ahead and fill out that shipment plan. It's very straightforward. You just let Amazon know the exact details of everything that they can expect. And at the end of that shipment plan, they are going to, one, give you the address where you should have your product sent. And two, they're going to provide pre-made shipping labels for you to download. So these shipping labels, you'll be able to download as a PDF and send to your supplier. Your supplier will then attach these Amazon shipping labels to your cartons or your bigger boxes that your products are coming in, and that will be sent to Amazon's fulfillment center. Once Amazon receives the product, they will be able to scan it in and know exactly whose products they are, which are yours, and they'll be able to start checking them in immediately. Some things that you want to be aware of when it comes to sending items to Amazon is that they have very specific rules around what types of packaging materials they accept, the dimensions of the boxes, the weights of the boxes that they will accept. So make sure that you are reviewing that information before you send anything to Amazon. And just a couple of freebies: your boxes cannot be bigger than 25 inches lengthwise, widthwise, height-wise. So 25 by 25 by 25, always remember that. Amazon does not like any messy packing material, so crinkle paper, popcorn, that gets packed in there to keep your product safe. Amazon does not like that. Things that they do accept, styrofoam, paper, just to kind of pad things, they will accept that because it is less of a mess to clean up. So keep those things in mind as well as you are sending your products to Amazon. Just to give you a couple more little tips about sending products to the Amazon Fulfillment Center, when you are having your products made elsewhere outside of the US and you're sending your products to the Amazon Fulfillment Centers that are located in the US, I highly, highly recommend that you have made in China or made in whatever country your products are coming from. Have that printed onto your individual products, because Amazon, and actually it's not even an Amazon thing, it's more of a customs issue. They want to know where these products have been made, where they are coming from, and where is the country of origin. So just have your supplier print made in China somewhere on your packaging for each individual unit, and you should be fine to go. One other thing that that you want to remember is that if you are selling something in a bag that is going to Amazon, make sure you have the appropriate suffocation labels, especially if it's an item for a child. Make sure that you are putting all of the warnings and labels on your packaging or inserted within your product so that people will not do anything that can harm them. And it is required to put that on items that have openings of a certain size. So if you have a bag that has an opening that's tiny, an inch, you don't have to have a suffocation label on there because no one's going to suffocate off of an inch of an opening. But if it's a couple of inches long, if it's bigger, then you have to do that to ensure the safety of your customers. I hope you enjoyed this video giving you some tips and tricks of what you can expect when your products are being sent to Amazon's fulfillment center and just ways that you can kind of prepare to make sure that your shipment is received properly from Amazon. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.